All right, so we are starting on this 12th chakra. So, like I was telling before, how to identify these. The If you see here, you will only see two elements, fire and water, and the center is the space. So, like I was telling you before, how to identify about the position of these elements, the basic elements, correct? So when we start, let's say with Earth as the first point, right? So you always traverse like this first, and then the second, and third, fourth, and fifth. So we have only 5 points. So if you talk about 12th point, so 12 minus 5 equal to 7. 7 minus 5 equal to 2. So it is synonymous to the second point. So similarly, for example, 11 minus 5 is 6, 6 minus 5 is 1. So that means the 11th point is same as, I mean, the position of the elements is same as the first point. It's like that, right? So that now we know that 12th point is the same as second point. So you start from second, which is space or ether, and then third, 4, 5, and 1. So that's how you identify the positions of in the each point. So it's very easy. You don't have to remember at all. If 2 is the predominant, that becomes the center, the predominant point. And you traverse like top, the number above, and then you traverse like this always. So then you know the positions of each element. So it's a simple math, simple pattern. We don't have to struggle to remember these. Okay. I hope this helps. Right? If you have any questions before we proceed. Okay. So here in the second point, even though this is 2, this is supposedly 3, and the 4 is missing here if you see. And this is the water element. And the air is the fifth point, which is missing again. Correct? So like that, if you see like you have only the space, fire, and water. So let's read and the 12th chakra is near Brahmarandra, the entry point of the soul. We'll discuss more on this Brahmarandra aspect of it, right? So name 12th chakra, the prominent element is the space. The color is pale pink. The four-finger width from the 11th chakra towards the back. And total settledness is the quality, and complete humility and settledness. So here again, we need to understand what this refined humility means. We'll go in detail on that. And then the points nearby is the Satyapad and Brahmarandra. Randra means hole. So there is a whole science behind this Brahmarandra. We'll talk about it. And similar to vibrations 2 and 7. Like I was showing you, 12 minus 5 is 7 and 7 minus 5 is 2. So you have 2 and 7 are the similar vibrations. And the region is absolute,
Absolute.
Prabhu, correct? So, Then let's go into the, so I'll show you another view of how it looks like. So if you see here in this sketch, so this is the 11th and 12th point. Like we were discussing, 11th or 12th are in godly region. And attached to it is the Brahmarandra, and then there is a point, Satyapad here. So that's why it's close to the Satyapad and Brahmarandra, right? And so from, like it is says, oh, sorry, I think there is some echo coming up. Greg, can I mute you? I'm not sure if it is coming from you, but okay. So this is one view of looking at it. And there is another view I'll show you. We never spoke about it. You see, this is the view. So you see that after L2 point, so just focus in this area. This is the area we are looking at right now. So this is the godly region. You see here, this is the godly region. And then we enter the central region. When we come there, we'll talk about it. You see, this is the Brahmarandara point. And this is also the Satyapad point. So they are next to each other, right? So after L2 point, don't go by this the DIP in the central world godly region. Don't get confused with all these ABCDs. I'll maybe we'll take one do separate session to explain these circles and all the points which are described here. So this is another representation of this whole spiritual anatomy in Babuji's words, correct? So we will go through it. I just wanted to have a glimpse of this diagram, right? Okay. Going back to the book. So the merging of rivers is an evocative metaphor used in spiritual stories and traditions to represent the union of the soul with the source. When two or more rivers merge, they create a force that is greater than the sum of its parts. So in Hindu mythology, the convergence of the Ganges, Yamuna, and Saraswati, these are the rivers, symbolizes the merging of the individual consciousness with universal consciousness. Similarly, the merging of the Missouri River, Mississippi River, and the Native American traditions represent the transformative power of unity and importance of working together towards a common goal. Okay, I mean, so this is like, it's very difficult to explain these subtle aspects without giving some physical examples. But in my understanding, these physical examples always fall short. So let's understand it, from a little, taking it from this very, mundane examples. Think about like this, right? So this whole aspect is about I mean, all these points. Sometimes it's confusing. Should I know? Do I need to know about these points? And a lot of times I don't have to worry about it. I don't care about it, which is true. But at the same time, this understanding gives us some direction. So it is important to get this direction. And in my opinion, personal opinion, anything when you put it verbally, it feels short. It doesn't explain the whole thing. I can only express it in so many words, and vocabulary is very limited to explain these aspects. Okay. So that's why we have to fall back to the physical examples, and the physical examples even makes it worst. They don't explain it at all. Okay. So when we talk about Prabhu, I mean, all these are the identities, the consciousness, how the consciousness is, its state is changing from one level to another level. See, where are we feeling these conscious states? That awareness is only coming to the mental state. If the mental state is not there, even the consciousness, whatever the states it is experiencing, we will not be aware of it. So the mind becomes our tool. We need to understand this. But in a very simple idea, right? In our scriptures, these conscious states are described as the waker. So, in the awakened state, we are processing this world, we are processing our thoughts. We are becoming aware of everything we see or feel through our senses. Correct? So, that's a very rudimentary awareness. And then the sleeper, I mean, when we go into sleep, it also has an awareness, it also has a conscious state. A lot of times we think we don't have any awareness in the sleep, but when you wake up, you will say, "Oh, I had a very deep sleep." How do you know that you had a very deep sleep? So that awareness is there all the time. Then the dreamer, we all become aware of dream states. So, but if you see all these three states are at the mental level only, in the mental realm only, all that we are feeling, that awareness is coming to the mind. Then the next comes is the Turiya, the fourth state. Turiya means the fourth state. Fourth state where the mind is absent, only the consciousness is present. And the consciousness becoming aware of the consciousness itself. But still the Turiya is limited. Even the fourth state, you become aware of your consciousness itself. So your consciousness becomes your aware tool in the Turiya state. The mind is absent. Now, when still that consciousness has this identity of the I-ness, the ego, we call it. It is limited. It is self-centered. Even in the Turiya state, this aware consciousness is still limited. It is self-centered. But by the time we reach the 12th point, this consciousness becomes universal. It doesn't have the boundaries. That is why it's godly region. God is universal, right? So the concept of God is it doesn't have any identity. It doesn't know it is God. So when our consciousness, even vibratory state reaches there, we can say that we are in the godly region. And there, in the lower states, in the lower points, our experiences are very vivid, very dramatic, very emotional driven. Babaji appeared to me and said this, or some big personalities will appear and talk to me. All those dramatic aspects of experiences are happening at the lower regions only. In a super refined state like the 12th point and beyond, or even it starts from the 11th point and beyond, we cannot think about those dramatic experiences. No projections, mental projections work here because it is all in the conscious state. Mental projections are in the lower. All these bizarre dramatic experiences are in the lower regions because their mind is very predominant. But here there is no mind. It's only consciousness expanding into infinity. It becomes more and more subtler. Then I cannot say I'm having deep meditations. I cannot say I'm in a blissful state. I cannot say anything. It is what it is. It is so subtle, so serene, so simple. A small ripple in this state creates a lot of disturbance. So you can only imagine the subtleness of this state. I mean, it's beyond imagination, basically. So as you imagine shifting from the 11th to the 12th chakra, I want you to envision energy flow from chakra as a river. There are rivers of acceptance, peace, love, courage, and many more, all flowing towards ocean. The source, the ocean is the source here, the God. So here, what it basically this indicating is, I mean, forget all these positive qualities, but the real aspect here is that now my direction is towards this higher completely. So there is no question about it. There's no choice there. It is just flowing. You know, when the river reaches almost its ends, in Floridians should know better, correct? Everything is merging into the ocean. And at that time, the river has only one direction to go. So some rivers, it's symbolically, it's basically explaining that. Some rivers might have started as a trickle, but as you progress, the rivers swell in their flow. You know, especially because the reference of Ganges was taken, at the start of the Ganges, it starts from the Himalayas, top of the mountains. There, the ice is melting like a trickle. The people who have taken the pictures where the Ganga starts, it resembles the Nandi. Nandi is the vehicle of Lord Shiva. It's a buffalo basically. It looks like the buffalo face, and from its tongue, the trickle begins. That's where the Ganges happen. And in fact, if you kind of take it to the next cosmic level, the same thing. The interesting aspect of water on Earth is not many people know water is alien to Earth. There is no process to make water on Earth. You cannot create water in the lab. So the ice meteors, when they hit the Earth, they melted and we got the water. And after that, only the recycling of the water is happening. So if we lose water on Earth, there is no process to make it. We have to again send spaceships to the ice meteors and bring those meteors back to the Earth. That's the only way to get water. So in the scriptures, it shows as if there is this figure Vamana. Vamana is supposedly a 3 foot guy, and he expands his body to the infinity. And when he raises his leg towards the space, the skies, it makes a tear in the sky, and there comes the water into the earth. So symbolically saying that water is alien to the earth. Okay.
Isn't it Bhagirath also? Bhagirath Prayatnam, what is that, brother?
So that is, I mean, another story. Okay. But what I'm telling you is symbolically, all these stories are telling you water is coming from the
Yes, yes, alien. Yeah, yep,
right,
yeah, that's a good point. Yep.
right. So, anyways, that's a side story. Sorry.
No,
But
no, no, it's thank you. Yep.
so this is an important aspect to understand when one embarks on the spiritual anatomy project. The first stage of the journey is coexistence. In the first stage, one has a vague understanding of something called center. Center meaning the godly essence, and the journey begins. We begin with that idea. See, that's why the practice is so designed, so well designed. When we begin our meditation, how do we begin? We give a supposition that the godly essence is within us. See, we are supposing with the godly essence, and that essence is kind of guiding us towards this higher and higher conscious states. Okay. We are not starting our meditation to calm our mind. We are not starting our meditation to get something, because what we are meditating on is already there, the godly essence, the presence of godly essence in our heart. We are supposing that it is already there. We are not lacking it. So that's why the aspect of meditation, the understanding is very important. Suppose I say, oh, I'm meditating because I want peace. And you go into meditation. What is your idea? That you don't have peace. And what are you meditating on without your knowledge? The lackness of the peace. So the dictum, the principle of meditation is you become that which you meditate on. So unknowingly, you are meditating on the lackness of the peace. What do you become? You lose your peace by meditation. I'm not trying to scare you guys, but this is how it works. So we don't do meditation for something which we are lacking. So that's why our idea of meditation starts with which we already have in abundance, which is the godly essence. We are not lacking it. So what will come to us more and more? The same essence. Even in the in the suppositions, in the affirmations we talk about, when we make affirmations, we feel abundance of it. If I want to become a rich guy, I mean, of course, no one becomes a rich guy without a lot of sacrifices and hard work. You must work for it. But I'm saying, like this book of secrets explains, we must feel that we already have that. We are not thinking about the lackness of it. So that's why it is important how we approach this meditation. Every time we are sitting in meditation, it is a rendezvous with this higher essence, which is already there waiting for us. In fact, we are not in search of God. God is always in search of us, or waiting for us to, turn our face towards Him, eternally waiting. We are the ones who are lacking. So that's why when we meditate, we are meditating on the godly essence. That's very important. So it starts from there. I'm really glad that Daji touched on this point at the 12th point. He's kind of revisiting our journey. In fact, we are doing the same thing every time to progress in this journey. It's nothing different we are doing. Okay. So this feeling becomes stronger as the ego sublimates. Why? Because the ego is the one which is blocking. Because your self identity is so strong. Why? Because from the day one we are born, we are only working, developing that identity. There's so many layers and dimensions to this identity. As this ego is becoming sublimated, melting into that higher essence, now it identifies with only one, which is that godly essence, nothing else. And through that godly essence, we're going to see everything. And the essence of the God is love. So that's why this statement, see, love him who loves all and love all whom he loves. So this is where the love all whom he loves happens, because now you are looking at through his eyes. So far, we have been looking this world through our eyes, our perceptions. Now, this is where it begins that we are seeing with our Creator's eyes. We are seeing this world with our Creator's eyes. See how beautiful it is. So we are always self centered. I am devoted. I am the believer. I am this. Okay. But now that I is gone, now I am that of the Creator. So now I feel this world through the Creator's eyes. That's what starts to happen at 12th point. So upon further progress, at the 12th chakra, one arrives at the third stage, identicality. See, I'm talking about this. This whole thing is about this sublimation of the ego and then developing that real identity, which is our true essence. Consciousness is now akin to the new level one arrives at. Lightness in the heart makes the weight of all mental activity lighter. One's thoughts seem lighter and call all interactions have that lightness. One feels settled in this stage. The resonance. See, in the 11th point, there is so much restlessness. And we talked about why there is so much restlessness. But by the time you come to the 12th point, all that restlessness is gone. Only now the bliss has started to begin. It's like when the reality ends, the bliss begins. That is the 12th point. Okay. So we spoke about how the reality, the state of reality, the blah, and that's why it is restless. And our goal is in the offing. We can see it, we can reach it, we are almost there. So that restlessness was there at the 11th point. But at the 12th point, now we feel oneness with that goal. We feel we're not there yet. So that's why there's that settledness. So the resonance that kept developing with the center is now complete. And one akin to the source, right? So I see a question from Greg. Could you speak to the idea that bliss is like the child's toy for the yogi? Yes. Bliss has many stages, right? So, I mean, the when I look at the bliss, maybe it's a long topic. I'll pick that up in our next session because there's so much to talk about this concept. So one feels settled in this stage. So the resonance that kept developing within the center is now complete, and one is akin to the source. One feels like that essence itself. So, this one last sentence I will say, and then we'll get into meditation. Any knowledge, any knowing, any experience is only through contrast. See, when you get into the swimming pool, you feel wet. And while you are in swimming pool, you are not thinking about that wetness. But again, you feel wet when you come out, you look for the towel. So, any knowing, any feeling, anything is only through contrast. But now, here at the 12th chakra, all the contrast disappears. So, what should you feel when the contrast disappears? Absolutely nothing. So, this is the stage where one is at the pinnacle of purity. So, we'll stop here and then for any comments, questions. And Greg will definitely talk about bliss in our next session. All right.
So when we're at the 12th point, then we don't think of anything, we don't feel anything.
It is only subtleness and more subtleness. That's what we are moving towards. So the feeling, even the meaning of feeling disappears. Like, Greg is saying in his question, bliss feels like a toy. So even that whole subtleness, everything sort of feels But we are not there yet, but it is almost there. It's like after a long drive, the last 10 miles looks like a longer journey. And once you start enter your community gate, you are there. So that the restlessness is gone and it's more subtle. And then, it's now the feeling also, the question of feeling is also becomes meaningless here. So that's the 12th point. Okay. So today we have Brother Madhava joined and visiting Orlando. So I'm requesting him to conduct the satsang meditation for us.
Recording in progress.